Now, a series of Bundesliga players were asked who has been the most disappointing individual this season. Sadio Mane got almost half of the vote, of course, after making that big money move from Liverpool to Bayern Munich. Derek Ray joins us, of course, our Bundesliga expert. Derek, where did it go wrong for Mane? Obviously, the injury hindered his first season, but even between that, when we saw him on the pitch, it was nowhere near the sort of player that we'd seen at Anfield.
Hi, Dan. Hi, team. It's all a bit of a conundrum, I'd have to say, because I was there on day one for Mane in Frankfurt when Bayern wiped the floor with the opposition, and there was a certain Sadio Mane scaling the fence with a loud hailer in his hand, addressing the fans. But he did finally come back. And, of course, there was real competition for places at Bayern in those attacking positions. They thought they could get by without a true number 9. They thought that Sadio Mane could be the sort of false 9 or playing in other positions as well. But his performances simply weren't good enough. They weren't Bayern-like, and we'll be very surprised if he's still a Bayern player come the new season.
Where'd it go wrong, Ali?
Well, the injury is obviously an issue, right? And I think what became really clear to see towards the end of the season, and there were moments in which Sadio Mane would break free, would actually get in behind a back line, and he was getting caught from behind, from defenders that were trailing, that were 5-10 yards behind him, and they were able to catch up. And you're thinking, whoa, that's not Sadio Mane, because one of the things that you associate with his game is speed and skill and the ability to take players in 1v1 situations, and that just wasn't happening for Sadio Mane. It's also the fact that when you looked at Bayern Munich and the lack of a number 9, and Derek just alluded to it, they all sort of had these roles in which they were going to have flexibility and variety in the attack. But when it came down to who was going to score the goals, they were looking at each other. Is it you? Is it me? Is it that guy? That guy? And it wasn't any of them. So much so that you end up settling back into Choupo-Moting as your big savior, that guy that had already been there. And I think Sadio Mane at one point was sort of deemed to be that guy that was going to be able to provide that final touch with some consistency. He was not. Lack of confidence, injury, and then we saw a player that really was not nearly as productive as Bayern Munich would have hoped for.
Did it surprise you, Stevie?
Yeah, hugely. I thought personally for him, it was a great move. I thought at the time it was not going to be great for Liverpool, and when Liverpool was struggling at the start, not we all, but most people were trying to pinpoint it down to the fact that he had left. I think what Ali said about him getting in behind and getting caught would be a worry if I'm him. I don't care how good you are or what you've done previously, but when your pace goes or when you lose it, it affects every part of your game and your confidence in particular. So that now, when you're in behind, I mean, the Mane that we know, when he gets in behind, well, the ball's in the back of the net and it's going to be a goal. Now, not only are we thinking if there's a pacey defender, he'll catch him, Mane's looking for him as well.
Right.
Which completely changes the whole attitude of, well, if I get in behind with the ball at my feet, it's a goal, to, I wonder if anybody's going to catch me. I mean, that is huge for a footballer. So I was absolutely shocked, but that was the biggest shock, how he was caught so many times from behind. That surprised me.
And going back to that list for a second, and the most disappointing players.
Yes.
5 of those players are from Bayern Munich.
Sure.
Right? And yet they won the title.
Yes.
So it's interesting. It's interesting that among the players, they're saying these guys were disappointed. Sadio Mane, Joshua Kimmich, Leroy Sané, Leon Goretzka. I mean, look, and you think to yourself, and yet they won it. So the way you look at it, if you're Bayern Munich, is we had down years for a bunch of guys, we still won it. We have to make sure that doesn't happen again. From the perspective of everybody else is, according to us, they were terrible, and they still won it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.